What's up guys, it's Rob with Black Hill Woodwork, and in today's video we're going to be making a resin bowl with this monster of a piece of wood. So as you guys can see, this piece of wood is pretty big, and I don't want to make a big resin bowl. I want to make a smaller bowl. This is the mold we're going to be using. It's an old cookie jar. I don't know if you guys can see the size comparison, but this is much smaller than this. So I'm gonna head to the bandsaw, cut this thing up as best as I can so that it fits in here. After spending way too long cutting this thing, here she is. Looks pretty good. There are some parts like right here that are very, look at that. It's just rotten. So I'm gonna spend a little bit of time with this dental pick and take away any spots that are, you know, rotten and might like float in the resin. So here's how it fits. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close to it. So for the epoxy, I'm going to be using this stuff. I got it off of Amazon. Been using it for quite some time, and it's some really good resin. It's not very expensive. It's actually one of the cheapest resins you could get, and even for the deep pours, I've never had any issues with it. Get 2 of these, and I think the colors that we're gonna pick are pink, silvery white. Now let's pour it in this resin mold and hope that we mixed up enough epoxy. You know, I think we made just enough resin. It definitely has to level out a little bit, but it looks pretty good so far. Alright, I'm gonna put this in there and wait till tomorrow. It's the next day, back in the shop, aka my garage. And we got this. As you can see, the resin level did drop probably ½ an inch. So that's kind of a bummer, but it's okay. I was looking for a small bowl. It was going to be small regardless, but now it's going to be a little bit smaller. So let's take this thing out of the molds, and then we're going to have to flatten the top somehow, meaning we're going to have to cut this chunk of wood, which I might add is very hard now because of all the resin that it soaked up. So that's going to be quite a challenge. I'm probably just going to use a hand saw, maybe my band saw, but that probably won't be the best idea. So let's take it out of here, cut this thing out, and then we should be able to turn it. Cool. I wish I could clamp this down somehow, but Maybe I could put it in a vise. You know what? I'm gonna go put it in a vise and see what happens. Well, I put it in the vise, and I'll tell you, I cut this thing in probably 10 seconds. You know, it sounds like a good thing, but it's actually not a good thing because it cut so easy. The only reason why it cut so easy is because look at how punky it still is. Even though all that resin soaked up in the wood, I guess it didn't soak up as much as I thought it did. This thing is still pretty punky. But that's a problem for later. Alright, it looks good from your angle, but look at this. Yeah. It's so punky that it's just getting, you know, driven in there. So I need to harden up this top or get another piece of wood that is hard and glue it. So I think that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm just going to find a scrap piece of wood, put it right here where the center is so that it doesn't, the drive center doesn't dig in. All right, let's start turning. It's running pretty good. I'm gonna turn up the speed. We're going at 1,000 RPMs. Whew. All right. Wow, look at that. So punky, man. That's a shame. I'm gonna cover some of these spots with CA glue, harden it up, and then keep turning. Man, I just hate working with punky wood. It's the worst. But nothing we can do about it. You know, I really thought that the resin would harden up this wood. I mean, it did in some spots right here. It's pretty hard, but I mean, almost the whole block of wood that I put in there is still very punky. So I'm gonna let this CA glue soak in for a little bit. 5 minutes, should be more than enough time. And then we'll see if we could turn it without any of these holes popping up, with just chunks of wood flying off. So obviously this looks horrible. You know it, I know it. It's okay. The plan is that I'm gonna turn away all this when the bowl is at its final shape. And hopefully all the divots and rotten areas of wood, hopefully those areas are gonna be filled with the CA glue and the sawdust. So that's what the plan is. Don't worry, it's not gonna look like this for more than maybe another 2 minutes. We're all done turning the outside of this thing. I'm gonna sand it from 80 to 800 grit. I'm gonna stop at 400 grit and put some sanding sealer just on the wood areas. Then I'm gonna continue to 800 grit and buff it off with some Yorkshire grit and maybe some car polish. So that's the plan. Let's get to it. Okay, so I actually sanded from 60 to 800. I'm gonna finish the inside and then I'm gonna put the sanding sealer on the wood. Then use the Yorkshire grit and the car polish. Okay, so I was looking at this piece. I just tried flattening it out. And guess what I saw? Look at this. You guys see that? I could snap this thing off so easily. And that is a shame because this is going to be a very nice piece. That just goes to show you that sometimes the wood is too punky. It just won't work. So I don't want to give up on this piece just yet. I know everybody in the comments is going to say that it's too dangerous to continue working on, but I put too much time into this thing to just stop now. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I need to figure out a way to put some glue in here, then keep it like that, you know, tightened, squeezed. I don't know how I'm going to squeeze it, but I guess you'll find out pretty soon when I turn the camera back on. I don't know if this is gonna work, but it's the only thing that I could think of. Whenever I work with resin, something happens. Usually because I find these pieces of wood and they're always rotten. I mean, it is shut. I'm just gonna try to get some glue on the inside of here. Well, I'm gonna leave it like this until tomorrow. Man, this is just horrible. I did not imagine. I mean, I knew the wood was really bad, but I did not think that it would fall apart like this. So let's just hope that tomorrow it looks okay and it's all glued up. We could continue doing the inside. So catch you tomorrow. So it's the next day. Added a lot of CA glue. Had this keeping it tight. I took this off, a big chunk. Literally just came off the side. You know what, guys, next time I do a resin project, I'm not going to be using this type of wood. I'm going to be using some hardwood. So, you know, I saved myself all the trouble. Doesn't seem like it's moving like it was yesterday, so I'm going to try to hollow this thing out. This is probably the most difficult piece I've ever made. And if it doesn't end up working, to be honest, I'm not even that upset anymore. And you probably won't even see the video. So, let's turn the lathe on. Try to hollow this thing out. I would use tail support, but I noticed the more I push onto here, that's probably, honestly, what led to that big crack. I mean, the wood was already weak to begin with, and then applying all that pressure just broke it. You guys probably know what I'm going to say before I say it. I'm going to add some CA glue. And drop my tools. Add some CA glue. Oh wow, look at this. Yep. You know, I heard a quote one time that life's too short to be turning bad wood. And I totally disagreed with that quote for a long time. But now I think I'm starting to agree. So here's what it's looking like. As you can see, it's not looking very good. Hardened it up with some CA glue. I'm gonna turn it a little bit more. I'm gonna sand down this whole piece. Add some sanding sealer before I put a finish on, just so all this punky wood could you know, absorb all that sanding sealer so that the finish goes on nice. So that's what the plan is. Don't know what this thing's gonna look like at the end. It could blow up, it could look really nice, it could look okay. I'm not sure. I'll tell you what though, the resin right here, the pink and white, look really nice. So if it does blow up, that will be a shame, because at least the resin does look really nice. You know, that's the best that I think I'm gonna get it. I really do think that. I don't see too many voids in here. I put so much CA glue, but I turned all of that wood away. So now this is super punky, but that's okay. I'd rather it be, actually, I don't know. I was gonna say I'd rather it be punky than rock hard with CA glue, but it's actually probably not true. All right, so I'm gonna sand down this whole piece again from 60 to 800 grit. And I don't know what to expect with this project, but you know, at least it didn't fall apart. I don't want to jinx it because there's still a small possibility that that could happen, but it's definitely unlikely at this point. So let's sand this thing up. You know, the surface isn't completely even. You know, there's these divots and stuff, so sanding it is pretty hard. Probably gonna have some sanding marks here and there. But all things considered, you know, I didn't think I was even gonna finish this video. I thought the bowl was gonna break apart. So all things considered, I am happy. So I'm gonna be putting 2 or 3 coats of sanding sealer. I'm gonna try to just get it on the wood so that when it's time for finishing, it'll be a nice and even coat. I don't usually use sanding sealer, but I think it's a good idea for this project. All right, I'm gonna wipe it all off, let it dry for about 15 minutes, and then repeat the process another 2 times, most likely. Here she is after 3 coats of sanding sealer. Now I'm gonna be putting the Yorkshire grit just to buff it all off. Not really buff it off, but make the surface smooth. I don't think I'm gonna use the car polish. I think it looks good just like this. You know, this might have been a very hard bowl to make, but I do think it was worth it. It looks nice. It looks really nice. So now I'm gonna be doing the first coat of Waterlux. So after this coat, I'm gonna wait 24 hours and then I'm gonna buff it again with the Yorkshire grit and repeat that process one more time. So 3 coats. And then I will be taking it off the lathe, sanding down the bottom, sanding the tenon off, and then repeating the process with the finish. But yeah, guys, this is what it looks like. I'm definitely surprised. Here. Here's the view from the top. Awesome, looks good. I'm not going to show the rest of the process, the next few coats or sanding the bottom, but I will show you guys what the final product looks like. If you guys enjoyed the video, please hit that like, that subscribe button. Like I said before, this was a very tough bowl to make, but I think it was worth it. It looks good. So thanks, guys, and look forward for the next video next Monday.